Hello class. We're here for day 2 of our digestive system. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you. All right, so today's lesson is day 2. We'll be focusing on diseases, disorders, that kind of stuff. Go ahead and open your assignment. I will get the lesson ready for you. It's actually right here. All right, so for your do now questions today, go ahead and tell me, where would appendicitis hurt on your body, and what about gallstones? So this is very important to know your body and locations of things. So like if you ever have pain in certain areas, you have an idea what might be going on. So I'll give you a hint. They're both on your right side. They're both on your right side. Okay, so your gallstones is upper right quadrant, okay, like upper rib cage, and your appendix is lower right. So if you ever have pains in those areas, that possibly could be a reason. All right, let's go ahead and move on. Okay, so first we're going to talk about diabetes. So what is diabetes? In our body, our cells use sugars and nutrients from meals as like an energy function. So we need sugar. I told you now, I'm not talking about like go eat Sour Patch Kids and that kind of stuff, but we need sugars, natural sugars. We get a lot of natural sugars from fruits, right? We need it as some sorts of energy. Diabetes are 2 types, type 1 and type 2. The most common is type 2. Okay, have you ever heard someone hypoglycemic? Glycemia, glucose, any of that means sugar. Hyper means above, right? So this is the most common is type 2. It's where your pancreas might not make enough insulin, and it can't keep up. So when you guys have low blood sugar levels, your pancreas can't keep up with it. A lot of people who are overweight or pregnancy, a lot of women who are pregnant, they could become type 2 diabetic. Type 1 diabetic is when your body's own immune system literally attacks your insulin producing cells. You say, why does it do that? I told you, sometimes we have crazy autoimmune disorders where your body attacks itself. And this is one of them. So type 1 diabetes, less common, but it's where your body literally attacks the insulin producing cells of your pancreas. Okay, so what are some diabetes symptoms? Now this isn't like a one-day thing, but like if you constantly noticing these things, extreme thirst, dry mouth, you're going number 1 a lot of urination, hunger, fatigue, irritable. If you're a girl and you have a lot of yeast infections, maybe you're wetting the bed a lot because like I said, you just can't, your bladder's just constantly being full, right? Or wounds that don't heal quickly. These are signs of symptoms that you could be diabetic and might need to get looked into. So like I said, who's at risk for type 1 diabetes, which is not the most common, right? But there are some people who are still at risk, obviously children, young adults, or anyone who has a relative with type 1 diabetes. Type 2, usually anyone over 45, if you're overweight, inactive, if you smoke, people who have high blood pressure, if you have a lot of like high cholesterol types of foods, certain ethnicities. So a lot of us could be at risk. So that's what I'm saying, like know your history and know how to take care of your bodies. Watch what you're eating, get some activity levels to help lower the risk of possibly getting some of these disorders. Someone who is diabetic, can you die from it? Well, yes, if they aren't controlling it right. But a lot of people are diabetic as long as they're controlling their sugar levels, making sure what they're eating, making sure their activity level. If certain people who aren't controlling it, they could have diabetic sores. A lot of times it can happen on their feet, which can cause like wound infections, which can cause some big issues. So it's just making sure you're just keeping up with yourself. All right, next we're gonna talk about heartburn. If you're the person that gets heartburn a lot, be noticing like what type of foods might cause you heartburn. Certain types of foods can cause it more so. I know my daughter, it's like any type of red sauce, spaghetti sauce causes her heartburn. Now it's called heartburn, but it has nothing to do with your heart, right? So why is it called that? Well, you guys know your heart's on your left side of your chest. It should be called esophageal burn because it's really your esophagus, right? So when that food comes down your esophagus and it goes to your stomach, think anywhere you have 2 organs connect, there's like going to be like a little gate that closes it. So when that food goes down your esophagus, there's a little valve that closes and goes to your stomach. Well, someone has heartburn, that stomach valve down here doesn't close all the way. Now remember, your stomach has a whole bunch of acid in it. So if it doesn't close all the way and it starts to come up, it's like you have acid coming up your esophagus and it's a burning sensation. Okay, so like I said, it has nothing to do with your heart, but it's called that because your heart's within that area. And I think that might be easier to say than the esophageal burn. All right. A lot of people who have heartburn, like I said, acid reflux. You might want to really pay attention to what type of foods you're eating. And you might not think it's a big deal, but you could be damaging that esophagus. My wife, for example, she didn't know because she never had acid reflux. But when she got her gallbladder taken out, because she was constantly throwing up, and she said, "What is going on?" Well, her gallbladder was tripping out. So she got that taken out. They noticed her esophagus was damaged. Well, she has what's called Barrett's disease. So she had acid reflux without knowing she had it. She has Barrett's disease. Her esophagus is pretty much on level 2 of 4 of possibly getting cancer cells. So she has to really watch what she eats. She's vegan now. There's certain foods she can't eat. She can't eat after a certain time when she sleeps. She has to have her bed raised. I mean, there's a lot of things just to make sure her esophagus stays intact and cancer cells don't produce. So if you have acid reflux, you might really want to focus on what you're eating and stop damaging that esophagus, because it could lead into bigger problems. All right. High fiber. The recommended daily fiber, like every American should get about 25 to 30 grams. We only probably get half of this, right? And what does fiber do? Literally, it helps move your poop around. Okay, I told you guys if we have blockage in our intestines, it could cause a lot of issues. One of them is being appendicitis, but that's what helps move your poop around. Typically, you want to make sure you guys are going number 2, going poop at least once or twice, once a day, or at least once every other day. You guys want to make sure you guys are getting our waste out of our body, right? So you do that by eating fiber. If you're not getting enough fiber in your diet, so think like grain type of food, like cereals, breads, like that type of food. If you're not, then there's fiber supplements. I know Benefiber, my sister puts that in her shakes, and that gives her extra fiber. All right. Okay. So I always add this because people always ask me, why do we do this? So why do we burp? Well, it's when you have gas in your stomach and it pushes back up through your esophagus. So it's sort of like heartburn, but it's just gas, and then you burp it out. Okay. Why do you pass gas? Why do you fart? Well, it's the same thing. So you swallow, think there's a lot of gases in the air, obviously lethal gases, not lethal, but like not lethal gases that we swallow, right? Then you also have gas in your intestines, right? I told you some of us have, we have good bacteria that grows in our intestines. Well, all of this plus the chemicals from your food all mixes together. And once it's already past your stomach to your intestines, I mean, it's not coming back up. So you end up going through your colon and you fart, right? If you eat a lot of food that has like sulfur in it, if you've ever been down to like Sulphur, Oklahoma, you might, oh, it smells down here. Well, it has like that rotten egg smell. There's certain foods that have sulfur in it. For example, eggs, and we know we're getting close to the holiday time, like deviled eggs. Certain meats and cauliflower, if you eat those type of foods, then yeah, you're going to be a little bit stinkier when you pass gas. Why do we throw up? So different reasons. Maybe you have a virus. It doesn't sit well in your stomach, and you just got to get it out. Maybe you eat food with a lot of bacteria in it. Maybe you didn't cook it right, or wasn't prepared right, or someone didn't wash their hands when they touched it, right? And there's bacteria in it. It doesn't settle well in your stomach. It's not going to go out. It's going to come out, right? Maybe you get very nervous. A lot of people could get nervous, and that excitement could cause issues in their belly and throw it up. Now, when this happens, muscles in your stomach, your intestines, they literally push food up instead of down, right? If it's already past a certain level and you have like maybe, you ate food poisoning. You might not have ate some good food, or maybe you're just sick, and that's when you might get diarrhea. So it comes out the other way. That's when your large intestine says, man, we don't have time to soak up the water, just get it out. Okay. Usually it's happening. We're trying to get rid of all those germs or something that's just not sitting well in our bodies. Okay. Now we're going to talk about ulcers. So these pictures down here, this picture is an ulcer of your duodenal ulcer, which is close to your small intestines, like pretty much outside your stomach to your small intestine. This one's a gastric ulcer. Whenever you guys see the word gastric, that means your stomach. So what are ulcers? They're holes or breaks in our protective lining. All right. So it's holes or breaks. And you think, oh, what's the big deal about that? Well, they could become inflamed. They could burn. They could hurt. They could cause bigger issues. All right. So let me show you guys. So what causes ulcers? There's no single cause has been found. However, it could be an imbalance of digestive fluids. A lot of times that people use a lot of painkillers. Like I've had one of my buddies, he used ibuprofen a lot. He was a basketball player. And a lot of times he took ibuprofen on an empty stomach. And if you don't have anything in there, you got to think like these medicine pills we take, I mean, it's chemicals. And when you put these chemicals mixed with other chemicals and you don't have like food to help digest it, that's why some medicines say take with food, because it could cause issues. That's one thing it could cause, like a little hole in your stomach or in your intestines. Maybe you just make a lot of acid production, which that acid is like burning through. people who drink a lot, smoke a lot, maybe just have a serious illness. So those are some causes of ulcers. Okay. So you say, well, how do I not have an ulcer? Well, usually you have like a gnawing or burning pain in like your upper stomach in between meals. It's not really like heartburn, but it's like close to your stomach, and it's like anything you eat, right? Or maybe late at night. You feel bloated. Like I said, it could be constant heartburn, right? And you notice this isn't just happening with certain foods, it's like all the time. You might feel nauseous or vomiting. In severe cases, maybe when you go number 2, when you go poop, your poop is really black. I'm gonna tell you guys right now, anytime you guys have blood in your urine or poop, go see a doctor because something is going on wrong that probably needs to be taken care of, right? Maybe you're vomiting blood, same thing, go see a doctor. If you have a lot of weight loss or severe pain anywhere in your abdomen, you might want to talk to mom and dad and go see a doctor. Okay, next thing we're gonna talk about is lactose intolerant. Lactose means milk. So what this means is you just can't handle milk the right way, not just milk, but dairy products. You can't digest it. Those of us who can digest it, we have what's called lactase. So it says down here, we have lactase in our intestine that helps break down lactose, right? So we break it down. So I'm not lactose intolerant. So when I eat anything dairy, it goes in, I break it down perfectly fine. Well, my friend is. So when she eats anything dairy, her body can't break it down. And it's like in freak out mode. And if she is in pain, she's probably going to quickly run to the restroom and let it out. All right. This does run in families. If it runs in your family, say, well, I don't have it yet, it can develop in your teen or adult years. It's nothing you can die from. You just want to make sure you find a bathroom really quick. All right. Constipation. I told you guys, constipation is when you're not going number 2, and that waste is just being stored in there. It could cause some serious issues. It might be hard to go poop. It hurts, right? So like I said, everyone varies, but longer than 3 days in between, that stool becomes so hard and it's hard to pass. It could be causing blockage issues. It could not be coming out because it could be blocked. And I don't want to scare anyone, but it could be blocked because maybe there's a tumor, and that's could be colon cancer. All right. So how do you not get constipation? Drink lots of water, eat lots of fiber, and exercise. True story, my nephew a few years ago was having really, really bad lower abdomen pain. I thought appendicitis, right? They took him to the hospital. It wasn't appendicitis. Well, my nephew didn't eat the healthiest, didn't eat enough fiber, so he was constipated a lot. Belly was always hurt. Like after he ate, I gotta go to the bathroom, but he could never go because it was just like literally a big ball of poop stuck in his large intestine. And every time he ate, it would just pile up. And eventually it was stretching out his large intestines. Thankfully, it wasn't by his appendix, because if it would have ruptured, that would have gone everywhere and he could have been in bigger issues. So it was like stuck in there. So obviously they had to give him stool softener medicine to like literally soften that stool so he could pass it. And then they told him, dude, you need to start eating some more fiber, bananas, grains, that kind of stuff, or this could be a serious issue. All right, moving on. There's something called Crohn's disease. Okay, this could be genetics, or your immune system could attack itself. So what is Crohn's disease? It affects your intestines, right? Usually it starts with your large intestine, your colon area, where literally the last part of that poop that comes out, and then it'll just follow like backwards, okay? This could cause ulcers. Literally, it could like narrow your intestines, which could cause blockage. True story, I had a friend who had a lot of abdominal issues. She would have pain. She would have poop, blood in her poop. She would have like heartburn. They said it's ulcers. She'd had some ulcers, and she said, this is not going away. It's still hurting. Well, eventually she went to a specialist, and she had Crohn's disease. They told her there's no cure for it. And there's times where it like active, like it hurts, and then there's times where it doesn't. Good thing with her though is they were able to get her on some type of medicine. Like I said, they can't get rid of it, but to help prevent it. And they told her like what type of foods to focus on and stay away from. Some people have Crohn's disease. They might have to cut out part of it. It's like a diseased area of their intestines. They might have to cut out part of it. And think your colon is what the poop eventually comes out, right? You ever heard of someone has a colonoscopy bag? That's literally a poop bag. If you don't have this part of your intestines, if they cut that part out, you could, obviously you're not going to die. You can still survive, but you don't have anywhere to get rid of your waste. It's not hooked to our rectum anymore, right? To let it go out. So they have a colostomy bag. So they'll cut into my stomach and they'll hook that bag literally up to where my intestines got cut off. And that's what I have to do. I have to change out my colostomy bag. That's where my poop will have to be stored. And the scary thing is that disease can go through all the intestines and it could cause bigger issues. All right. All right, last thing I want you guys to do, obviously, because we're on computers, I just want you to copy and paste this picture into your notes. But as you do that, like, pay attention, because on a test, I might have a picture and I might point, what is this? And I need you to be able to tell me, that's my stomach, that's my liver. Now, see where it says duodenum, ascending colon. You don't need to know all of that. I just need you to know liver, behind your liver is your gallbladder. You got your stomach, behind your stomach's your pancreas. Then in here is your small intestine, and this is all your large intestine, right? And this long guy here is your esophagus. That's pretty much what I need you to know. Okay, so after you copy and pasted that, that is the lesson for today. Really make sure you guys are drinking your water, eating your fiber, exercising. I'm not just saying that from a health teacher, but exercise moves your poop around, right? When you exercise, drink water, and eat fiber, you're taking care of your digestive system. You might not think it's a big deal now, but if you're 30, 40, 50, and you have a lot of digestive issues, it could lead to bigger problems, all right? So with that being said, you guys have any questions, holler at me, and eat your fiber, move your poop around.